thing I look forward to most on every build is when it's time to do the audio system. We ordered all of this stuff, well, most of this stuff from Crutchfield. These are eBay parts. We're gonna upgrade the dash speakers in our square body to this KSC 40s, which means it's the K series, which are their kind of top of the line that they offer in multiple sizes in a 4-inch. 3.5 is probably the right move, because if you ask Crutchfield, they're gonna tell you that the 4 inches do not fit in the dash of these, and they are correct. These kick panel molds, I couldn't find them without this tweeter surface here. Otherwise, I would have loved to have ran a coaxial instead of these separates. But because it has this, I thought it would look dumb if we don't cut that out. We'll just put the tweeter in there and call it a day. So we ran these KSS 50s. So again, K series, except the 5 1/4 separates. A 10-inch sub is all we ever need, and it's really all I want to try to have an amplifier to run. And I like ported boxes, but these square bodies have so little room behind the seat, and I want to be able to move that bench all the way back. A ported box would have taken up every bit of this because of the cubic foot required to run it ported. And I still want to have the amps back there with it. So the alternative is this pre-made enclosure with a passive radiator. It looks dented, but it is not. That's just from touching it. This is the 10-inch version. They have a 12 as well, but honestly, a lot of the reviews said they had a lot of failures on the 12-inch sub. And I know for sure that this guy is gonna fit really well behind our back seat and not affect anything, and still room for the amps. I'm kind of excited to find out if this passive radiator really does perform like a ported enclosure. By the way, that part number is the TCW RT10. Now, they don't make a K-series amplifier for some reason. I guess the CS series or CX series must be good enough. This is a 4-channel amp that we want to run the 4-inch and the 5 1/4 with. At 4 ohms, it sends 65 watts to each of these speakers, RMS, which is absolutely perfect for this setup. Retro sound gear is new to me. I've seen it a lot. I've never used any of it, but since we can use the 2-knob radio in our square body, no one's cut all that stuff apart yet. I wanted to take advantage. When you place your order for this stuff, it asks you a bunch of questions like what color do you want the bezel and the knobs and the backside of the knobs and stuff, which I guess is really cool. Allows you to be completely personalized. It's been a long time since I've seen these logos on radio knobs. So this box says radio face. It's interesting. Business end of the knobs. Whole bunch of washers and nuts. Instructions. What in the world? Okay, well, that's going to be an awful lot of chrome. May have overdone it a little. So what is in here? Apparently, the motor. Definitely need assembly instructions. I've never bought a 12-volt radio or any stereo for that matter that required me to put it together. Build it yourself radio. Got this head unit mostly assembled, and before we get too much further along in this install, I'd like to make sure that it works. Not that we're going to be using the speaker outputs, but I did go ahead and run one to one of these 4 inches that I've got mounted. You can see I've got that cut out there for that baffle. So we're gonna see what happens with this guy. Hit up. Oh, there we go. Probably should have read the manual as to how do you switch. Or, oh, I guess that's just the radio is on. I mean, that was the clock, right? Etro sound. Well, I hear static. See if I can get this Bluetooth going. All right, we got something going here. Track, album unknown. It does say it's Bad Company. Burning Sky. See if we don't get copyrighted. Or to turn it down, neighbors get mad. Just digging into these 5 1/4s, and man, what a mess of stuff we've got to deal with. I'm assuming even if we would have got the coaxial speakers, it would have still had this big old crossover system to deal with. But I've also read that if you want to, you can attach this in the center of these speakers in case you don't want to run them separately. Of course, it's not an option for us. There's a bunch of funky hardware and stuff that I assume would let you get away with it. Anyway, I'm gonna get this drilled, get these speakers installed into these, get these installed in the truck, and I'll probably put a little polyfill behind there just because I want to. Now, out of fairness, these aren't the multi-$100 kick panel situations that you get from like Crutchfield. These are the $58 shipped on eBay. I know. Picked up the last piece of the puzzle today. A friend of mine had this in his Corvette, so I traded him 2 pair of New Balance and a flame build cap. It's 500 watts RMS at 2 ohms, which that's a 2 ohm sub. I think it wants 200 to 400 RMS. I can't think of a single thing that would go wrong. Now you might ask, why would you want this old amp? Why wouldn't you just get something new like everything else is? I'll show you. This amplifier, it goes to 11.
Up to 11, exactly.
Plan is to put an amplifier on each side of the subwoofer enclosure with like maybe a 1/2 inch MDF panel. It's gonna look something like this. And then we'll finish the corners out with this 1/2 inch foiled over styrofoam board to do the contours in the back of the cab. Probably make more sense now that you see it at this stage. So the idea is I cut this beveled edge so the carpet kind of has an angle that it rolls up to, and then it'll tuck in behind this ridge. Then I'll leave slack of carpet hanging over this edge and tuck it behind this enclosure so it'll look somewhat seamless with it sitting in there like it is. And there's enough room to mount that 4-channel amp upright right here, and then the mono amp over there, because that's where it plugs in anyway, which only makes sense. And I know it probably doesn't look like enough space, but keep in mind, my hands are huge. So here's that space that I'm talking about that these cables can hide in, and then we'll pull them up through these openings to the amps. Now we'll make these filler panels on the ends. This is probably a pretty good time to just cover the wiring. This is a 4-AUG power cable, got a 100 amp fuse that'll be pretty close to the battery post. And that runs in along the rocker here, and we'll split it to run to both amps. Now the grounds, I wanted to show you guys, it's super important. What I've done is I've ran this ground strap to the frame. It's through bolted in the cab and stainless hardware, and then the amp ground is fastened to it. So that accomplishes two things. Number one, it creates a really solid ground for our cab. It also gives us a really good solid ground for our amplifier. And we'll do another one on the other side, but it'll just be to the cab structure. It doesn't need to also tie to the frame. Perfect. That definitely took some effort, getting all the wires ran and the board built. Now I've got it installed and got these corners finished out, which turned out looking really good. Amps are mounted. That's about as clean as I can get the wiring. And still, again, this is right up against this back wall, so it's not like you have any space to tuck those away. And this is recessed in there just right. Ended up being such a perfect fit. I know you can see little edges like this, but this is behind the seat, and it's definitely not a show truck, but pretty clean install for a guy doing something in his garage. Beware for headphone listeners. So now I'm gonna start with the interior, putting that back in. The seat's gonna be super easy. I've got all the little missing hardware and bits that the truck didn't have in it. So I ordered that stuff from LMC Truck and it's here. Also, here's another win from LMC Truck. This truck did not have a headliner in it. Now it's a factory headliner truck and has all the trim pieces, but there wasn't one in it, probably because these were bad to sag and people just tore them out. This actually has a really nice ABS plastic backing to it. It's kind of a gray color, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, but it stands on its own. So if it's supported on the corners, it should never droop or fail. So I'm really happy about that. It's always a blessing when the LMC Truck stuff shows up and it's what you want it to be. Also, the gauges are done. I don't know if I showed you guys that in this video. They're pretty dope. So thanks for sticking with me through this video. I know it probably was a roller coaster of a lot of different stuff going on. I'll probably go ahead and type out all of the parts and materials stuff that we used in the description below. I tend to get a lot of those questions, so I thought it might be easier for you guys. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.